Try this again. All right. Today is Thursday, January 19th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. Call this regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Do the roll call. Looking, Mike Danello. Thought I saw him in here. All right. Fred Jordan. All right. Jonathan Kastner. It might be, we might have a quorum.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So Fred, you're here.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get my camera turned on. I forget. I'm not good at that.
I know Alan's out. Stan, are you here?
I am here.
Okay, good. Marion?
Yes.
Fantastic. I know Alex is out, so looks like we're just scraping by on a quorum here. On to item number 2, audience of citizens. Citizens may address the commission on items that are not listed on the agenda. So anybody out there have anything they want to bring before us, or questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none. Item 3, approval of minutes, December 8th, 2022 regular meeting. I was not here for that, so I'm assuming you guys have read the minutes and it reflects what was discussed. If so, looking for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Marion. I forgot who was here, so forgive me if I call on somebody who's not. Freddie, you're here.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Stan?
I was not present.
All right, so,
Jonathan was.
oh, Jonathan. See,
I was.
Fantastic. Jonathan, what says you?
Just to be clear, people, even if you weren't present, if you have read the minutes and believe that it reflects or that you understood what happened, you are able to vote on the minutes. You do not have to abstain.
Gotcha. Stan, he was pointing that at you.
Yeah, I read it through it. So yes, if it looked good, it looked good to me.
Fantastic. All right, so I think that's everybody.
Tony, you got me?
Who's me?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, I did get you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tony, I am here if you're looking for me.
I was looking for you.
Sorry.
No worries. Well, how about you? You want to vote on these minutes, or?
I approve, yes.
Fantastic. All right, item 4, old business. Site plan for conversion of use of 39 Main Street to distillery and wholesale distribution per section 4.31.27 of the Deep River zoning regulations, zone VID, applicant Paul Gravick. Is there an applicant here? Thought I saw him in here.
Yes, I am here. I just unmuted myself.
Of course. Just want to give us a little lowdown and what you're trying to do here.
So you want me to speak to what we're trying to do? And so we looked at this location of 39 Main Street as being used for a distillery. We are looking at the second floor to be the process for the operation. On the main part of that floor is going to be the processing area. So you have the entrance that comes in, and then you go into an area that's the production area that is sealed off from the rest of the building as well.
Okay.
So it's sealed and locked space. So we have a second room that's proposed to be the ethanol storage room. The plan is to store 120 or 110 gallons of ethanol in the fire rated room, which is below the code. Code allows for up to 120 gallons of ethanol storage. So we're below the code on that. As terms of processing, they can be no more than I think it was a 1 gallon container containing the finished product, which is Crew vodka. It's an 80 proof vodka. The finished product will be stored in 750 ml glass bottles, which are again below the regulation limits of 1 gallon. So we fall below the levels required. So just to give you a little bit of background for those people that weren't there at the last meeting, my name is Paul Graybeck. Obviously, my parents lived down 69 Essex Street. My mom was the registrar of voters. My dad was on the town sewer committee, and I lived in that town for about 14 years. So this was born out of an 80-year family tradition celebrating my Polish heritage. I'm a chemist by trade. I have over 14 years of distilling experience. And so we've had this product up. We were manufacturing it in Wallingford, Connecticut, and now we're looking to move it from Wallingford, Connecticut to Deep River. Deep River Distillers belongs to me in Deep River, and my heart is in Deep River. So approached me a while back about using this building as a distillery. So there's plenty of parking spaces there. We will not have a tasting room to begin with. Will not, mostly a wholesale distribution operation. So we'll be bottling, processing the vodka, and then sending it off for wholesale distribution to restaurants, bars, and package stores. So I don't know if there's any other questions people have at this point in time, but that's pretty much the outline of what we plan to do at that location at 39 Main Street.
So-
Are there any questions?
I actually do have a question. So just quickly, you did mention that you're not going to do tasting at the moment. Is this something you have planned for the future if this goes well?
Yes, I mean, it'd be nice to have a tasting room. I mean, right now, I have basically one product, which is the vodka. It's an 80 proof clean, clear vodka. It's not flavored at all. So what we're looking at doing is using High 9 Brewery as a possibility for to do it there. Then just to have one product tasted in my distillery. You know, so you drink 2 ounces of it, and then what that's pretty much it. It's not like you have a whole rack of them that you can try different ones. It's just the one, product at this point in time. So yeah, maybe down the road, we would have a tasting room, but not at this point in time.
Okay. Any other commission members?
I'll ask a question. So as I understand it, this is not truly a distillery. You're really repackaging and rehandling a product.
Right. So, so the way it is set up right now is I'm purchasing the ethanol already distilled. Like I said, I mean, I have the experience to do it, but it doesn't make sense to do it at this location right now. So I contract manufactured with a company in Brookfield, Connecticut to manufacture the ethanol to my standards. So we'll be bringing in the 55-gallon drums from Brookfield, Connecticut to the distillery here. We will process it. We have a special process for that, filtration process, and then go directly to bottling. So the ethanol will be diluted down.
Okay.
It's really a bottling, labeling operation, wholesale operation. It's not a full-blown distillery. We will not have any ethanol flames, vapors being distilled off at all. So there's no real risk of, I mean, there's always a risk of flame, but it's greatly reduced because the vapor pressure of ethanol is quite low. And if you're distilling it, it makes it more susceptible to fire.
So
I'll assume that
Question?
all fire codes and everything have already been gone over with the fire marshal.
Yes, we met with the fire marshal on several occasions to review the actual process with Adam, the fire marshal, to make sure that everything meets the fire codes.
Although, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
At this time, however, I mean, the applicant isn't even authorized to formally submit plans for approval until such time as he has planning and zoning approval. So that would have to come first. So fire code will be met, but that's a later process.
Thank you. Any other, I do have one more question, but I'm gonna let everybody else go first. Anybody else from the commission? Questions for the applicant?
Reaction.
Okay. Go ahead, Erin.
Sorry, took me forever to figure out where that hand had to go. I have a question about parking. Because it looks like there's proposed parking beyond what is there now. So that's a question. And the proposed parking is adjacent. Go ahead.
So we are not planning to expand the parking at all. That's the existing parking. That plan came from the land use office. So that's the existing plan. It's on file already with the town of Deep River. So those parking spots
Okay.
are allocated that way. Yeah.
Okay, so there's currently 11, it looks like,
It's a dirt-
spots.
Yeah.
Looks like this is paved
So-
and maybe this is dirt.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
There'll be no need for any more additional parking than what is there. We'll have only a few employees, maybe 5 at most. And but to start off with, it will be, not a lot of employees to begin with. We have to ramp up and get this into production before we start hiring more people, but we will.
Okay. Marion, you good? Anybody else? All right. My question was answered. Now I got a closer look at this. So looking for a motion to approve. Anyone?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
So, Stan, I think you got beat by Fred. Jonathan
Yes. I approve.
and Stan
Yes.
and Marion.
yes,
All right. It looks like you're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help and look forward to working with you, the town, and deeper shortly.
Wish you the best, Paul. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, let's see. On to new business. Item A, site plan, new single-family residence in the Gateway Conservation District, 108 River Road. Applicant Richard Lemieux. Oops, didn't mean to kick the computer there. So this is just to accept this, but
So,
go ahead.
Tony, if I may?
Yep.
So, there is, I probably 10 minutes before this meeting, I dropped in a new file in the share drive. The applicant, upon investigation, realized that they actually needed a special exception rather than a site plan approval. This is a new single-family residence within 100 feet of the Connecticut River in the Gateway Conservation District, over 4,000 square feet, which requires a special exception. And so they resubmitted the application materials. They'd already, paid the fee and submitted plans, but want to treat this as a special exception, not a site plan. So you cannot discuss it tonight. Instead, what they're asking is that you receive it and schedule a public hearing for the February Planning and Zoning Commission, which will also give them opportunity to go to the Gateway Commission, I believe, at the end of January.
So it'd be, it's February 16th, so I can remember in a minute. Do we need a motion to amend the agenda because it says site plan and not special exception?
Yeah, I suppose I think you could probably do that all at the same time.
Okay,
A single motion to amend the note, make it a special exception and receive the application.
John, I have a question. If we have a question to request additional information, can we do that now, or do you want to wait till till we actually get to the public hearing? It's
Yeah,
a
no,
height question.
yeah, we can ask him to, is that you want an elevation?
Yes, I think on the north elevation, they didn't provide a height. They provided that for all the other elevations, but I think there was one that didn't have it, and it
Okay.
seemed like it might have been at least 2 to 3 stories.
Okay, I'll convey that to the applicant.
Are you making that motion? Marion?
Yes,
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
I think that was Mike.
Yes.
All right, Fred
Yes.
and Jonathan
Yes.
and Stan.
Yes.
All right, so we will see them on February, whatever I said, 18th? 16th. Okay, item B, bond release request, maintenance bond for Cranberry Bog Estates subdivision, Hoop Hole Hill Road. John, how do we look for this one?
So there was an original, and Steve had done some of the digging on this. There was an original bond of just over 160,000 for the public improvements, the minor extension of Hoop Hole Hill Road. That was drawn down after the road was constructed, and the 10%, 16,000, give or take, was left in place as a letter of credit. Steve, is that right?
Yep.
And to let it go through the first frost and winter cycle. It's been several years now, and they just want to clean that up and get us to release it. The town isn't holding any money. It's just a letter of credit. So we just want to release it to them. It may be worthwhile to have the town engineer just go out and verify that everything looks fine. I have no reason to think it doesn't, but I would propose a motion to release the bond upon word from the town engineer that everything is sufficient.
Yeah, John's made 2 motions in a row here. Anybody have any questions, or they just like to make that motion?
I'll second.
Well, Jonathan, somebody's got to make the motion first. Well, I tell you
I'll
what,
make the motion.
there you go. Stan, thank you.
I'll second the motion based upon the engineer's approval of his site visit.
Gotcha. Okay, that's Mike. Fred,
Yes.
Jonathan, I'm assuming you're a yes because you tried to make the motion or tried to second,
I am, yes.
right? And Marion.
yes.
Fantastic. All right, that's it. We're on to reports. ZEO, John, Steve, one of you guys? Nothing, huh?
No, we're still working on a couple of the key elements of the STEEP grant, including the town technology and the online permitting. The delay on that in part is just straight delay. And in part, some of that is Angus is trying to figure out if he needs to bid it out or if he can just do some direct solicitation. That's taking longer than I think any of us would like, but we're trying to move forward on those 2 pieces.
Gotcha. All right.
Steve, do you have anything?
The appeal that was submitted for 400 Commercial Drive was officially received by the ZBA. We determined at their December meeting date, despite them not actually holding a meeting. So the plan is to, the plan is to have ZBA run the meeting in February and technically hold a hearing and open a hearing and go through their normal timelines for that application. But the application was forwarded along to the town attorney, both for ZBA and for PZC, and there was an agreement that the ZBA does not have jurisdiction of an application of appeal by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that it should have been directed to Superior Court. So we're waiting for a response from the applicant to see if they'll withdraw it. If not, we'll go forward with the standard timeline. In terms of enforcement mechanisms and where we stand with enforcing the Planning and Zoning's decision, we are in the midst of trying to determine if we can put up a camera or some kind of other, tool to take a look at what's going on over there. I've been visiting the site regularly and trying to monitor what kind of vehicles are coming in and out of there.
Mike, it looks like you got a question.
For John or Steve, we had a couple properties that going back a couple months that were in question about some blight problems. Any updates on any of those guys?
I think he means the one on West Bridge Street.
I followed up with them last week, asking them to renew their plan. We get lots and lots of excuses, or excuses to be unkind, explanations to be kind of why things are progressing too slowly. And so I just basically asked for an updated timeline from the owner. That's 92 West Bridge.
All right. Is that it, Mike?
So is that an open-ended date, John?
At this point, yes, I'm just waiting for a response.
All right. Anybody else? If not, I'm gonna move on to POCD.
Oh, I was going to say, I had a question.
Go ahead. You're up next anyway.
Yeah, I know. There was a letter on the information site, and attached, it was a letter about training, zoning training, but attached to that were a bunch of pictures. And I just wondered, where that was. And yeah, if you keep going, lots of good.
That's my fault. I didn't realize those were stuck in there.
It was entertaining. Well, actually, I live next to the place.
I hope you enjoyed those. That's my photography too.
So
I don't know.
what property is that?
Is
Is
that
that
411?
the,
That's
That's
411.
411 Main Street.
okay, all right.
And that gentleman lost all of his legal appeals. So we're back to enforcement on that one.
Okay.
There's quite a few in here, huh?
Holy cow.
Right?
Wait, these photos now are 92 Main Street? West Bridge Street?
No, that was 411 Main.
Oh, yes, okay. Oh dear.
All right. Marion, you want to give us a POCD?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, I kind
No
of,
worries.
we had our meeting the first Wednesday of the month. We went over the vision statement. I'm hoping one last time, at least for now. And some revisions were made to that. We'll receive it at the next meeting again, just to make sure. We also looked at, we had just received the economic development survey, and we looked at that and discussed that. And that's basically pretty much all that the hour could handle, because we've, as most of you know, we've agreed that we're only meeting from 6 to 7 on the first Wednesday of the month, at least for the next 2 months. And what we want to do next is at least get discussion and approval of the outline, what the plan of conservation will look at. And again, hopefully we can then proceed with each of the items within that outline. And that's where we are. But it was interesting to finally get the EDC survey.
That's right, we did get that. Sorry, I'm just looking for something and I don't see it, so I may have John bring it up.
Um,
John, I'm gonna stop my.
I have,
Go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, I have just a regular homeowner's printer, so I read it, but I did not print it out because I just, at this point, there's too much ink involved with it.
I don't see. All right, I'm gonna stop my share and make John do it. I don't see it.
Tony?
Yep.
What do
Well,
you?
one of the things that we've talked a lot about on the POCD is economic development. And it's no secret that EDC hasn't shown up to any of our joint land use meetings in the last year. And I have brought this issue up at the selectmen's meeting. And actually Tuesday night, apparently they met probably for the first time in a long time. But with the situation that we're in now, right now, the selectmen are discussing ARPA funds, the use of the recovery money. And I'm thinking that maybe it would be prudent for the Planning and Zoning Commission to go to the selectmen and say, you know what? We really need Steve and John to really take kind of a leadership role, especially with the EDC in promoting economic development in the town, because in the last year, it certainly hasn't happened. And I think that with some professional help, perhaps to head up that organization and be a motivating factor there, that it could do the town a lot of good. The money's there. It's there for economic development, apparently, in that program. And I think that might be something that would be worthwhile exploring.
Well, I mean, I get that. I don't know if that's our purview, but and the other end of this is to ask John and Steve if that's something they're willing to take on. They're also quite busy, and I don't know if that, I mean, we could recommend them, but they also.
It wasn't them,
accept.
if not them, someone.
I agree.
I mean, from our perspective, I think it's, doing some of the work is not so challenging. It's something we can take on. The real tricky thing is managing the meetings. Just because we have a full calendar of meetings, and adding another one might be a little bit tricky. But we're more than happy, particularly with our work on the POCD, to help move EDC priorities forward. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, John, if you
I'm sorry, Tony, if I might.
Yeah, Angus, go ahead.
I'm gonna put my camera on for a second. I don't, well, I agree with Fred in many ways, in many things. I think that his representation of the Economic Development Commission is not quite accurate. They certainly have met.
Where are the minutes on
They
the
did
town
not.
website?
Fred, I'm not going to argue with you right now. Let me say what I'm saying, okay, please. Whether their minutes, I think their last time they were able to get a quorum was probably in September or October, and that's where your minutes will see. We've been struggling to get people to be there. A lot of their members work and travel for their work, so we have not been able to get quorums, or they have not been able to get quorums. They certainly have. They had a very good meeting on Tuesday. They've got lots of things that they're trying to work on. What we spoke mostly about, what I went to the meeting for to speak about, was to get them involved in the POCD. And we've gotten an agreement from both the chair and the vice chair to begin to go to those meetings. So I think that'll be that's certainly appropriate. Fred, I don't think that the Economic Development Commission is a land use organization. So for them to attend those land use meetings, joint land use meetings, is certainly would be helpful, but is certainly not in their purview. So I'm not trying to argue with Fred. I simply want to point out that I don't think he's quite right when he says it's been a year or something like that since they've met. And they are working, but remember, the Economic Development Commission is not a commission that has a lot of teeth. They do not have any decision making that can actually affect any changes to policy. They can only recommend. Certainly help from John and Steve and from Tyke would be great. But what was discussed at the meeting on Tuesday was reaching out to other towns that have professional employees and seeing how that works for them, what they're doing and how they're doing it and try to emulate some of that. So don't think that they're doing nothing. They are working. They're working hard to try and ensure that the meetings are happening, and that they're working with property owners around town, especially on Main Street, to try and see how they can help them with their development of their properties. We've had 3 new investors on Main Street properties, and that's who they're working with mostly right now. So that's all. I'm not trying to defend them not showing up at meetings. I'm simply trying to point out that there are factors involved.
Thank you. Looks like Mike, you got your hand back up.
Yeah, I mean, if we're on POCD and the money's being dispersed, I heard from someone that maybe they were requesting $40,000 to do a video for the economic development of Deep River. Does anybody know if that's true or not?
Hang on a second. The proposal or the request is not just a video. It's an entire package of marketing materials. Video is a drive around video. And Jerry Roberts could actually speak to that if he is so inclined, and if you all think that that's appropriate for this meeting.
I was just going to say, I think we're in the weeds here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're on to monetary and spending that has nothing to do with planning.
Yep. So thanks, Tony.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to drag this back to John and Steve for a minute here, because we glanced over 2 things that should have been brought up also. So it was one is the budget that I couldn't find in the OneDrive, so I'm leaving that up to John or Steve. And there's also training, which is now a requirement by the state. And I think they have something on that too.
Steve, do you want to talk to the training?
Yeah, I'll talk training. So thanks, Marion, for sharing that I included all those pictures. I did just revise it and redrop it back in there. But I put together this brief document that just goes over what the new training requirements are for commissioners, and that is that you all attend a minimum of 4 hours of training per year, one of which needs to be related to affordable housing. And Yukon Clear, which is the Center for Land Use Education and Research, already has been running a training website where they have, some basic outline documents that go over the responsibilities and roles of land use commissioners. And they have things called basic and advanced training where you can attend pre-recorded virtual sessions or attend these virtual trainings. They're all linked in there. I put the Clear website in there. And I've put another document that's linked here for roles and responsibilities. It's just a little 2-page document that Clear put together. But there are some upcoming trainings that we wanted to make you aware of, one of which is on Saturday, March 11th. It's an all-day type training, but you do have the option, I would guess, to register for it and attend whatever particular sessions you're most interested in. There's a web link on there. And then, like I mentioned, Clear is doing their Advanced Land Use Academy training in February. They have a couple consecutive sessions that are running once per week over a couple different weeks. Those are both linked in there. You could cover most of your training by doing either one of those training sessions, but I think me and John both agreed that if you make us aware of what training you want to attend, we will register you and we will track all of your training hours for the year. Just let us know what you want to register for in advance by email, or let us know at the meeting, and we'll take care of it for you. And then after you attend, you might receive like a certificate or an approval letter. Just forward that over to us.
So to follow up on that, the 1-day training, March 11th, is $45. We do have training budget, so we will reimburse you for that cost. The town will reimburse you. And then the 3 sessions on Thursdays, the 2nd, the 9th, and the 16th of February, are free. And it's my understanding, I mean, we encourage you to do those if you're able. It's my understanding from Attorney Roberts, one of the attorneys putting on the training, is that those are going to be recorded and made available basically on demand. So those 3 trainings should be, we hope, available just, whenever whenever you would like to view them. So hopefully you won't be locked into these pre-scheduled things, but I would very highly recommend the March 11th session. It's very wide ranging and very informative.
That's an online thing?
Correct. These are all virtual.
I was going to piggyback on this. I actually have taken the land use law one, and they cover so much stuff, and it's fantastic. I mean, I know it's a long day, but they cover so much stuff. You should really check that one out.
Sounds good. And I got a question. On the February dates, do they cover the same material or is it different material on the 3 dates?
All right. So the 3 bullet points that Steve has on his list. So bias, predisposition, and conflicts is February 2nd.
Yep.
The running a
Okay.
meeting is February 9th,
Gotcha.
and then housing is the 16th. So if there's one that
Gotcha.
you have interest in more than the others, yeah, you don't have to
Gotcha.
register
Thank
them
you.
for them all.
John, can you forward that out to the committee members, the schedule?
Yeah, we'll send this document out by email.
Thank you.
I just want to pipe into, I've attended most of these different things over time. These are great opportunities for you folks to really learn about what you're volunteering for. And while I appreciate the time that you guys put into the coming to these commissions, now that the state has mandated that these are required, they're good programs, and they'll be very, very helpful in your decision making and your learning process as you get yourselves more and more comfortable on this commission. I can only recommend that you take as many of them as you can afford the time to do.
Looks like Dan Smith raised his hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question. Since I'm still awaiting the selectmen to decide whether or not I can join this committee, are these trainings that I could sign up for as a citizen, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 'cause
The Clear Academy is, I mean, they have all kinds of stuff online, but these ones I have not actually taken.
Awesome,
But
thanks.
they have other training that's available.
Great, thanks.
Right. Anybody else? Any more questions? All right, Steve or John, you guys take it away.
Okay, so we're asked to submit an annual budget for fiscal year 23-24, which basically starts up in July. I have the first draft of a proposal here that I actually I'll go through quickly and then actually propose to modify quickly because I had left something out. So the column to sort of look out for is, so column 3 is this year's budget, and then column 5 is next year's request. So part-time clerical is at 4365. If you note the actual, it's year-to-date actual, it's quite low, and we sort of underspent the budget over the last couple of years. So I propose just to lower that item just a little bit to 4,000. Hold our planning and zoning consulting level, equipment level, engineering services. I think we have basically not used it in a couple of years. I think that can be reduced, and particularly when we're talking about, I think most of the things that we need engineering for is review costs, application review costs, and that's a later budget item. So I propose we can reduce that. Hold printing expenses level. Engineering review costs was 15,000 for the last couple of years, and if you note the actuals, we've spent less than 1,000, and this year we spent less than 200 so far. And a lot of times we're able to, if we do need engineering review, we can turn that cost around and charge the applicants for that review. So I think that can be significantly reduced. So I'm proposing to take that from 15 to 5. Hold the plan of conservation and development costs level. This is going to be a 2-year process, so that, we're basically only 6 months in of a 2-year process. So hold that level. Increasing training because we now have a statutory mandate, but I think there'll be so much free training, we probably won't use that, but just to be conservative. So that total with those reductions is 71,000. It's about a $12,000 reduction. But what I would propose and I'm glad Angus is on the line here. I would propose to add a line item for online permitting, which will have an annual cost of I think around $15,000 or so. That we would share that burden with the building department. So I would propose putting in, $7,000 or $8,000 for online permitting.
Can I piggyback on that?
Absolutely, you're the chair, sir.
So I wanted to throw out the 750 for upgrading the permitting or the permitting for the advanced GIS
Yes, yes.
stuff, because for the POCD, it makes sense. So I think it's a 1 year, one-time thing. And to add that, get 750 on, or the 750 on there, use it, and then, let it lapse next year or the year after, or whatever, however that works.
Would you want to put a separate line item, Tom?
Please.
I think that's fine to add that. John, did you put did you make a note for that online permitting in the budget that you submitted to us?
I did not. I need to, we need to revise this.
Yeah,
and we'll
please. Good.
put a note. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So then this number will change, and I can't do the math on the fly, but I'll add that up. But that would be those would be the proposals to add, and so we would still be a net budget reduction over the previous budget year.
So it's 79,250.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if the commission is acceptable with this, and we can make further changes obviously now if you'd like, but that would be the proposal that we submit. And we were just invited to have to attend workshops or hearings on the budget with the Board of Finance. Tony, I'm sure you saw that.
That's what reminded me to get this done. You guys are satisfied with those numbers. I am. Looking for a motion. If not, I'll make one.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Stan.
Thank you, Mike. Oops, losing my mind here. Mike, you made the motion. Jonathan, there we go.
You need a second, or otherwise I vote aye.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. It was seconded. We just need you to vote yay or nay.
Hey, aye.
Thank you. Stan, you made the motion. Oh, Fred, I skipped you. I apologize.
Yes.
And who's left? Marion.
Marion, yeah, yes.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's see. Back to the list at hand here. Attorney, anything from them? Hearing none. Chairman.
No,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, I had some notes from the attorney, but it's actually the ZBA attorney that's been handling the 400 commercial appeal. So it's not planning and zoning attorney, it's ZBA.
Gotcha. Chairman, everybody just covered, or the ZEOs just covered everything I wanted to talk about. Budget we've discussed already. Payment of bills. Any?
I don't have any bills. Do we see anything? No.
Fantastic. All right, looking for a motion to adjourn. Okay,
So moved.
I'll make the motion.
thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you guys. Actually, before you go, I think next month I'd like to try and do this in the small conference room, maybe as a hybrid meeting. Hopefully by then we'll have better equipment, but if not, we'll just try and just have the commission in there because it's a tiny room. It's very crowded, but I think it's everyone. Stan had mentioned this. Was it Stan that mentioned this last time? Every 3 months or so, maybe do this. At least that way we can get together face to face. If that's good with you guys. Anyway, that's my plan. Thank you guys for showing up, and everybody have a good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Where won't this end?